They're made of titanium alloy.
From Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. ABC's NFL Monday Night Football. The Seattle Seahawks and the Atlanta Falcons, and this ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Datsun, who invites you to test drive the all-new 200 SX Sport Coupe. It'll drive you like you've never been driven at your Datsun dealer now. And by the Miller Brewing Company, brewers of Miller High Life. If you've got the time, we've got the beer. Hello again, everyone. This is Frank Gifford, along with Howard Cosell and Fran Tarkenton. You're looking at Jim Zorn. He leads the Seattle Seahawks. Disappointing on the year. They're 3-5, but they feel they are still alive in their Western Division of the AFC. Atlanta, 3-5. They are definitely alive in the National Division, the National Football Conference Western Division. Howard?
Frank, if as some coaches say, as you look at Jack Patera right there, the crowd can influence the game. I don't know of any place where they can do it more than here in Atlanta. This town, this great and growing city, is alive, and they have Falcon fever regardless of the present record. There's Lehman Bennett.
Lehman Bennett. He took over 3 years ago. Last year, brought the Atlanta Falcons to their first playoff ever. They got by Philadelphia. They lost to Dallas. We're set to go. Atlanta has won the toss. Quarter Herrera will kick off. Deep is number 81, Dennis Pearson. There he is. It's been raining during the course of the day. The rain has let up. The field is fast. They've had it covered throughout the day. It's in good condition. And as you can hear, a crowd of over 60,000 expected tonight, a sellout crowd. Quarter Herrera pops it. At the 10-yard line is Haskell Sandback. And Sandback out over the 25 for the 28-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Atlanta Falcons. At quarterback will be Steve Bartkowski, a pure passer, as pure as you could want. However, he has been not throwing the ball as he says he can. The offensive line, perhaps in the middle, is the best with Jeff Van Note there. The wide receivers, they're small, but they're very effective. 84, Alfred Jenkins, and number 89, Wallace Francis. Bartkowski brings up the Falcons. The ball at the 28-yard line. Setbacks, Lynn Kane, 21, the rookie from USC. He gets the call, sweeping left. And he's breaking tackles, and it's a pickup of a couple of yards. It'll be 2nd down and 8, tackled there by Autry Beeman, coming up defensively for the Seattle Seahawks. And let's meet the Seahawks. Carl Eller, you know about him, the veteran from Minnesota, acquired just before the season started. The linebackers, Keith Butler, Terry Beeson, Sammy Green, and let's take a look at the secondary. Cornell Webster over the left corner. He scored for the Seahawks last week in their upset of the Houston Oilers. 2nd down and 8. Andrews, single setback. 2 tight ends are in. McKeskey is in there. But the ball goes to Andrews, and the rookie pounds out short of a 1st down. Over the 35-yard line, hit there by Carl Eller. It'll be, well, call it 3rd and 4 for William Andrews.
Frank, as you look at Steve Bartkowski's statistics, William Andrews started the season off with 2 100-yard games. Has not run as well the last 4 or 5 weeks. Atlanta's lost 5 out of 6. They expect more out of that running back position tonight.
2 wide receivers back into the game on 3rd down and 4. Motion man is Kane, leaving Andrews, single setback. Bartkowski. This is Kane. And the rookie, who won the starting spot over Bubba Bean, gets the 1st down for Atlanta, moving out over the 40-yard line to the 41. 1st and 10, Atlanta.
Seattle, as I said at the very top of the telecast, Giff has the offense, as you look at Lynn Kane out of USC, to cope with anybody, and that 34-14 ripping of Houston proved it. But the Atlanta Falcons have a way of producing on Monday Night Football when one looks at their record. Remember our 2nd game of the year, when they beat Philadelphia
quick snap. Bartkowski to the air. Fires to Kane. Kane has the ball. Good receiver, this young man, who blocked most of the time at USC, although he did behind their high-powered offense. Gain over 800 yards. He was principally a blocking back for Charles White. He gets 4 yards on it. Second down, 6.
Frank, you said Steve had told you that he wasn't producing the way he felt that he could. Did he enlarge on it?
He didn't tell me that. I read in the paper.
All right, that takes care of that.
Second down, 6.
He told me that, though, Frank.
Ball just over the 45-yard line. And off Andrews. And the rookie from Auburn, who broke into the NFL with that big game. You might recall the opening day of the season. 167 yards rushing for this little man, who really, well, he wasn't that productive at Georgia. He was more of a blocker than anything else.
Well, at Auburn, as you said, Frank, he was a blocking back, but when he got here, they learned, A, that he had great hands and could catch the ball, and B, that he could run surprisingly well. And while he got the 160 yards plus in the opening game, as first down is registered for Atlanta, in the second game against Philadelphia, again got more than 100 yards, and he looked like another Otis Anderson. He has fallen back, as Fran said, but they expect him to bust out of it tonight.
One thing to look for here, Frank, Atlanta will throw to their backs a lot. Seattle does not defend the pass to the backs very well. The linebackers weak pass coverage-wise.
2 tight ends, single setback. McKeska, 87, the other tight end, along with Mitchell, 86. Mayberry, the rookie from Colorado, single setback. Gets the call, finds a little opening, but he's smashed to the ground. Hit there by the middle linebacker, Terry Beeson, number 58.
One of the reasons why they expect Andrews to have a big night tonight is based upon the graphic you saw a moment ago. Seattle 22nd in defense.
Interesting thing, Howard and Frank. Atlanta has played 3 running backs so far tonight. Kane, Mayberry, and Andrews. All of those fellows are rookies, but they all 3 can play well.
Mayberry, the rookie from Colorado, gets 3 yards. Second down, 7. Bartkowski again to the air. Fires. Complete. Out for Jenkins. Close to a first down. Jenkins now, which is having caught successfully at least 1 pass in 50 consecutive games. He's not all that big. 5'10", 175-pounder, and he gets the first down for Atlanta. Atlanta moving the football.
Frank, Alfred Jenkins listed at 175, but yesterday he weighed after practice 151.5. He may be the smallest man in football.
First and 10, the ball at the 37-yard line of Seattle. And off is Mayberry, and Mayberry gets to the 35.
Very important here for Atlanta to get going. That's why Fran, in a pregame interview, asked Steve Bartkowski, what do you have to do to get the offense going?
Well, I think basically from a quarterback standpoint in our offensive scheme, they need to be able to count on a consistent game week in and week out out of the quarterback. And I've been inconsistent, as many of our guys have throughout the year. And I think that I need to string 2 or 3 games together and get back on the right track.
Quick count on second down and 8. The ball carrier with Kane. Kane finds an opening. Kane into the end zone. A flag is down. The flag is down at the 10-yard line. And Len Kane, a 6'1", 205-pound rookie out of USC, really turned it on, broke tackles, but again, a flag is down at the 10.
I think the call was against the defense, but that remains to be seen. I think one way to get the offense going.
I think it was a face mask. This guy, Len Kane, came on last week against San Francisco in that defeat. He caught the ball well. He ran the ball well. They think he's a good football player. Southern California, he was a blocker for Charles White. But he can also run, as we just saw.
This game has just begun. As you heard the call,
referee Bob Frederick, you saw the call. Face mask. Kane goes 35 yards, and now comes Tim Mazzetti. Conversion, yes, but he put the thrill back in it last week with a couple of misses against San Francisco. Not this time, however, and Atlanta is on the scoreboard.
they have a way on Monday night. Let's look at it again. And this club, the Falcons, is better than its record suggests. But you watch Seattle strike right back with Zorn and Largent and Smith and their weapons.
And a good block by the rookie from Colorado, James Mayberry. As you look at the face mask, Kane rolling in. Atlanta has a 7-0 lead. We'll be back in a wild and crazy Atlanta Fulton County Stadium in a moment.
The Fires.
Lynn Kane, who set a record for USC fullbacks while blocking for Charles White and rushing for over 887 yards, has gone 35 yards. Scores for Atlanta. Penalty on the conversion. Tim Mazzetti will kick off at the 30-yard line. Deep is Jeff Moore, number 32, and Tony Green, number 34. Jeff Moore, a rookie out of Jackson State. Tony Green, he's been much traveled since celebrated the year last year with the Washington Redskins. Mazzetti gets a big foot into it. Tony Green at his 2-yard line. And Tony Green goes for good yardage. Tackled there by Ray Easterling. And let's meet the offense of the Seattle Seahawks. Jim Zorn, he can do it all at the quarterback spot, number 10. Sherman Smith, he's carrying the load both in receiving and in rushing. Wide receivers, Steve Largent, one of the best in the business. And there is the offensive line, perhaps the best two. A lineman there, Tom Lynch, 61, John Yarno, 51. First and 10. The ball at the 30-yard line of the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks last week upsetting the Houston Oilers, 34-14. They still think they can get back in their Western Division race of the AFC. Dominated now by San Diego and Denver as we look at Dan Dornick. And Dornick struggled for additional yardage out close to the 35-yard line. Give him 5, it'll be 2nd and 5.
Putting Atlanta's defense in perspective as you look at the defensive line. Yates, Wiener, Fields and Smith, Kuykendall, Pennywell, Brazina at the linebacks. And the defensive backs, Roland Lawrence, Rick Bias, both small, Reed and Easterling. So there's the defense. I'll get back to the point I was about to make in a moment. Frank?
Seattle comes up. 3 wide receivers. 83, Steve Rabel is in there. Handoff goes to Sherman Smith. And the big 4-year man from Miami of Ohio who does it all for Seattle. Gets a couple of yards. It'll be 3rd down and 2.
Frank and Fran, as you both know, the past 2 years, Atlanta surprised the whole league with a kind of kamikaze defense. They came from everywhere. Blitz, blitz, blitz. This year, they apparently thought the league would catch up to it. They've laid back. Look for a return to that blitzing tonight because what they did hasn't worked. The secondary undersized, as I said, with Lawrence and Bias.
Largent, McCullum, the wide receivers. Brian Peach, the tight end, 88, back in the lineup. Zorn, play action. Watch Largent, incomplete. Covered nippily there by Roland Lawrence, the little cornerback on the left side at 5'10". 4th down, and out will come the punting unit.
And Frank, that time he got pressure. This Atlanta team, as you said, Howard, has not been aggressive. They had kind of a training camp type workout this week, full scrimmages. They're really hopped up for this game. They want to get back to their grit, blitz, and their aggressive style play, and that is their style. They haven't been playing their style this year. So far in the first series, looks like they're back to it.
There's Dennis Pearson for Atlanta at his 24-yard line. Herman Weaver punting for Seattle. A little over 41-yard average thus far in the season, and he had to hurry to get it away. Fair catch called for by Pearson, unnecessarily so at the 25-yard line.
Good call,
Atlanta, with a 7-0 lead, will have their second possession when we return in just a moment.
What makes you think the man is not a monarch?
And we have an election year coming. First and 10 Atlanta. They look surprisingly well, considering having lost 5 of their last 6 games. On that first drive, they lead 7-0. The ball just over the 25-yard line. Bartkowski hands off to Kane, and Kane explodes once again out over the 25, close to the 27. It'll be a gain of 6. It'll be 2nd and 4.
I'll tell you, Howard, if I were Steve Bartkowski right now, I've got a hot running back in Lynn Kane. I would feed him that football. He's pepped up, and he's running hard, and the line's blocking for him.
Absolutely. He just came out for a moment, but I'm sure only for a moment. What Atlanta has are the bookends, the young tackles. Ken,
2nd down, 3.
stop for a moment while we get this play.
Ball at the 33-yard line. Hand goes to William Andrews, and Andrews has an Atlanta first down, moving behind Thielman and Bryant and Van Note. And going back to the basics, you would say, is paying off for Atlanta. They checked everything out. They started with their stance this past week. They went back and reviewed everything.
Well, they've been building their offensive line the way the Jets have tried to build theirs, with Marvin Powell and Chris Ward, two of the best in football. They've got Ken and Bryant, the bookends, and that's what they're going behind tonight.
Alfred Jackson in. Bartkowski back on 1st and 10. Has the time. Fires into the arms of Alfred Jenkins. Complete. First down, Atlanta. Out over midfield. Dave Brown defensively for Seattle was there, but this little man is hard to get a handle on.
This is not bad coverage by Dave Brown here. He's a former Pittsburgh player. Nice pace. Look at the pace that Jenkins uses here. But Brown is with him. It took a great throw by Bartkowski. They feel that that's the side they want to go to. They think Brown is more vulnerable than the other side, Cornell Webster. We'll look for that as the night progresses as we look at Alfred Jenkins.
Ball inside the 49-yard line. Split to the right is Al Jenkins. Left is Wallace Francis. Off. Andrews looking back to the inside. He found an opening, gets inside the 45, close to the 44-yard line. A gain of 5. It'll be 2nd and 5.
I notice you call Andrews William, which he prefers to be called, not Phillips.
Offsides indicated against Seattle. Well, they marked it off. We'll tell you how they both stand. Seattle in the Western Division of the AFC with the 3-5 mark. San Diego and Denver both 6 and 3, open 5 and 4. In the Western Division of the NFC, Atlanta is much closer. They're 3 and 5. New Orleans leads that division with 5 and 4. LA is 4 and 5.
Number 56 offside. First down.
Sammy Green, the linebacker, stepping offside. But a win tonight for Atlanta. They could move in one game behind New Orleans, tied with Los Angeles. So much is on the line for the Falcons, who were in the playoffs a year ago. They like the feeling. On 1st and 5, Andrews getting the call. Andrews breaks it. Upset by Dave Brown, but he has a first down, and the flag is down at the line of scrimmage.
Well, William or Billy, you can call him Ray, or you can call him Jay, and it's against Atlanta, as you saw. It doesn't matter what you call him. He's looking for a big night tonight against a weak Seattle defense.
You know, Howard, it's a rather simple game. If you can control the line of scrimmage, you can win. Atlanta went back to basics, which means getting off the ball, trying to control the line of scrimmage on offense, and do the same on defense. And they're controlling the line of scrimmage on offense tonight as we look at the officials' call.
Offensive holding, number 21.
Lynn Kane holding for Atlanta. That moves the ball back close to the 45-yard line. Down remains the same. First down, 17. The two tight ends are in now. Single setback. That's Andrews, 31. Bartkowski changing up. He's got Mitchell. Jim Mitchell has just his 4th reception of the year. Short of the first down, gets back to the original line of scrimmage and a couple, so it'll be 2nd down and 9.
Frank, as we look at the graphic here, 3 receptions in 8 games for Jim Mitchell. This has been a premier tight end. That time they didn't have any respect for Mitchell. They doubled both outside receivers, and we look at Jim there. They left Jim Mitchell all alone on a linebacker, and that is a mismatch.
Have his skills diminished as a receiver? Has he slowed up?
He tells me he hasn't. He said he used to run a 4.5. He might run a 4.6 now. I don't know if he's that fast, but he's still a good receiver.
Jim Mitchell, the tight end, in his 11th year out of Prairie View. 2nd down, we'll call it 8. Bartkowski. Kane. No screen man in front of it, but he gets yardage on his own. Good run and a good tackle by Sammy Green, and Kane has an Atlanta first down.
I love that play, Fran. You get a runner like Kane, Andrews, any good runner, and we're going to look at it again.
You'll watch
out there.
Watch the linebackers blitz. The free safety, Archie Beadle, will have to come up and cover Lynn Kane. He's got to come from 10 yards down the field. You'll see he's got plenty of running room. There's Beeman coming to your pitch with 27. He slips him and gets 10 yards.
That's the point. You get a receiver who can run with that football, put him out there. In one-on-one situations, they'll break it. We've talked about that often.
First down, the ball at the 36-yard line. Andrews, right side. Ekes out a couple of yards. It'll be 2nd down and 8. Beeson, the middle linebacker there, along with Hardy, the rookie starting defensive left tackle, number 75, out of Jackson State.
That's the kid we spotted in the preseason game at Seattle when the Hawks beat Dallas. Hardy, a low-round draft choice, but a pleasant surprise to the Seahawks.
They ever put all the Jackson State players together, they could go to the Super Bowl.
Watch the tight end again here, Frank. They're doubling both outside receivers.
Quick toss. Andrews. Good defensive play. Seattle floating. Keith Butler, the initial hit there for Seattle. But there was a gain of about a yard. It'll be 3rd down and 6. And Beeson stays on the turf. A middle linebacker. Harry Beeson out of Kansas, 2nd-round draft pick. He's been a starter. This is his 2nd game as a rookie back in '77. He would be sorely missed. We'll be back in a moment.
When you break horses for a living, the worst part is knowing they might break you first.
Terry Beeson motors off on his own. He appears to be all right. Another Seattle defender was shaking up Dave Brown on that same play a moment ago. Harry Justin comes in for Brown. Peter Cronin in for Beeson. 3rd down and 7. The ball at the 32-yard line. Atlanta leading 7-0. Bartkowski. Watch it. And under pressure. Gregory was in there pressuring, but the ball was batted away. Incomplete.
Good play by Seattle. Good series for Seattle. A young team coming into this basically feverish and hostile crowd. And a good test of their ability to maintain poise in an already difficult situation, Frank.
It really is. This is an unusual crowd. L.A. saw it last year back in '73. The Minnesota Vikings had 9 straight victories, and Atlanta upset our team. It's going to take a lot of poise from a young Seattle team. It'll be interesting to see how they react to this.
Ball at the 32-yard line. John James come in to do the punting. There's Tony Green. He'll be trying to figure with James. James, of course, will be angling the ball 4 out of bounds if indeed he goes with the punt. The one suspects that he will. It's early in the game. An extra Atlanta Falcon on the field. Got on the wrong side. And I think they're going to have to take time out. No, they took too much time. They should have taken time out. Not that it really makes any difference because again, the line of scrimmage is the 32-yard line, and this will just perhaps give James a little better angle.
So they're better off this way.
Dewey McClain was out there in the wrong position for Atlanta. He was over with the wide man to the right when obviously he should have been to the left.
James will try to hit the coffin corner. Clearly, he's one of the best punters in football.
Fell off a little last year, but he had 3 straight Pro Bowl years for Atlanta. Aims it high. And Atlanta has the ball. They're well inside the 5. It looks to be the 2-yard line. Seattle, with a very hostile crowd in attendance, will start deep in their own territory. That's the most delightful field position for the Seattle team. They have tied into a bunch of hornets in the form of the Atlanta Falcons here tonight, a team that we knew that would be fired up. James' punt was down inside the 3-yard line. Setbacks, 47 Smith, 33 Dornick. They'll try and give quarterback Jim Zorn a little breathing room. Dornick gets the call. He finds a big opening. And Dornick gets it out to the 10-yard line. Gain of 7. It'll be 2nd down and 3 up into there by Frank Reed.
Dornick, of course, was with the Giants, Fran. He was reasonably well regarded, but they have a youngster named Ken Johnson who they think has greater potential, so they let him go. Kid turned out to be an excellent receiver, especially coming out of the backfield.
Leading their team in receiving, and that was a big run he made to get them out of the hole.
2nd and 3. Dornick doesn't get the first down, up into there by Edgar Fields, bottom of that pile. The problem really with Dornick last year, he was a very bright youngster, and that's, of course, what you like. And we're going to have a call, and it's going to go against Seattle. Dornick, a very bright young man, and that's really what you want back in there when you're talking about receivers. But he had a shoulder problem last year, and although he did produce for over 300 yards for the Giants, he has been a real healthy asset to the Seattle Seahawks this year. They, of course, lost David Sims, their fine running back of last year. Which is the call?
Which has hurt them a great deal.
Offensive holding, number 51.
John Yarno, the center, holding. And that Back Seattle up. Ball at the 5-yard line. Second down and 8. 3 wide receivers are in. Rabel comes in. Out goes the tight end. Single setback is Dornick. And Sherman Smith is there. Here's Sherman. And a fired up Atlanta defense. Warns over Smith.
Frank, this defensive football team of Atlanta plays the run very good, and they're giving Seattle many different looks. They feel they have to do that because Seattle's an excellent offensive football team. They're trying to confuse them with different looks.
Third down and 7. Swiftly paced game thus far. Atlanta out in front, 7-0. They scored on their very first possession. Len Kane going in from 35 yards out.
Hi, Guy.
Important. Seattle gets out of this hole because they'll have to turn it over to Atlanta about midfield. Third down and 7. They must get to the 12. It's complete. Over the middle is Pete, the tight end. And Pete has the first down out over the 20-yard line.
First big play of the game for Seattle to get them out of the hole. We'll look at it again from the end zone. This is the poise I was talking about.
And here's Zorn going back. Interesting thing, no blitz by the Falcons. Plenty of time. Pete's wide open. Atlanta does not cover good in the secondary. It's interesting, Howard. We thought they'd come out with a lot of blitzing as we see Brian Pete's there, but they really haven't yet.
There's a lot of time.
The first down is out to the 22-yard line. Hello, Sweetie. Halloween's a couple nights away. Motion man is McCullum. Handoff, Sherman Smith. Smith reached at the line of scrimmage and struggled for a yard up into there. Defensively by Kuekendahl.
That's a player to be respected, maybe even admired. He began as a quarterback at Miami of Ohio. Remember, Fran? In some ways, he reminds me of Andy Johnson of New England.
He does. He's a big back, 6'4", 225. And he told me yesterday that the biggest adjustment that he had, he really had never taken a ball. Didn't know how to take the handoff. Did not know how to get in the stance of a tailback. He's had to learn all that. And this year he's averaging 4.7 yards a rush, plus being the second leading receiver on the Seattle team.
He's in the top 10 in the AFC in both rushing and receiving. Leading rusher for Seattle 3 straight years. A very gifted athlete, Sherman Smith. Zorn. Didn't like something. Calls timeout. And we have 1:02 remaining in the first quarter, and Jim Zorn moves over to the Seattle bench, and we'll be returning to Atlanta right after this message.
You're going to enjoy it. Some of the greatest stars in television. Ed Asner, Bobby Conrad, Dick Van Patten, Billy Crystal, a super young talent. Some of the most beautiful young women in the world, led by perhaps Erin Gray.
Seattle has the football. Jim Zorn did not like his setup on second down and 8. Called timeout, talked it over in the sidelines. He's back now looking at the second and 8 from the 24-yard line. Play action by Zorn. Wide open. And that is Steve Largent, and he is one of the fine receivers in football today. And Largent gets out over the 45-yard line to the 46-yard line, and he was really wide open.
Here's Largent. He's not very fast, and he's not very big. But all you kids out there think you have to be a big man to play this game, look at this man play. He's one of the premier receivers in football.
Notice that tonight the 2 key receivers are undersized men. Jenkins, number 84 of Atlanta, only 151.5 pounds. Largent, another undersized one.
23-yard pickup by Largent and Zorn. What a combination that's been. A couple of big touchdowns last week against Houston. They're back on stride. Largent again. This time Zorn puts it behind him. Defensively,
he doesn't like what he did.
And Roland Lawrence were there for Atlanta.
Jimmy really made a bad throw as we watched Steve Largent there. But I'm impressed with this young quarterback, Jim Zorn. I think he's one of the truly great young quarterbacks in the game, and he's done a good job of bringing his team out of a hole, overcoming a penalty, and has got him in pretty good shape here.
Remember, this all began inside the 3-yard line. They did have the holding penalty. Big completion to his tight end, Brian Peach, and another large completion to Largent. Ball at the 47-yard line. Second and 10. Dornick. Tom Lynch out in front. Dornick with a good move. It's close to midfield. gain of about 3. It'll be 3rd down and 7. Roland Lawrence coming up to turn it to the inside. And that's the end of the first quarter. Good, hard-hitting football game from Atlanta. Atlanta on top 7-0, and we'll be back in just a moment. Jim Zorn back in the huddle as we begin the second quarter has brought the Seattle Seahawks from inside their own 3-yard line to the 49-yard line. 3rd down now and 8. Very gifted athlete. You don't put pressure on him, as we see now, Atlanta in a 3-4 defense.
And they're going to come.
A safety blitz. Zorn looks it over calmly.
They're going to come, Frank. There they come, everybody.
Good pickup. Zorn looks like he slapped it. Steve Rabel is saying, no, it's complete.
Well, that's what you got to do. If you're going to stop Jim Zorn, Fran has mentioned you got to give him different looks. Frank has mentioned you got to pressure him. They just did. They got to use the kamikaze defense.
That's their style of play. It's the first time we've seen it tonight, and it did what they wanted to do. It prevented the first down and the 3rd down situation.
Dennis Pearson, almost 12 yards for a return. Herman Weaver on for Seattle on 4th down. Last time they blocked it, they almost got the first one. And it's taken there by number 38. Rick Bias. Bias scores. They almost blocked Herman Weaver's first punt. We mentioned it at the time. This time they were all over it.
Now that's what Atlanta can do. Pouring in. Send everybody.
What? Here it is. This is an opportunistic team. I mean, he took it right off his foot. What a block. I mean, he got it all the way. I'm trying to get the number of the man who blocked it. But that's
I believe it was Pridemore. Tom Pridemore, I believe.
I think you're right, Frank. Number 27.
Atlanta fired up tonight. Herman Weaver, a long striding punter. They almost blocked his first punt of the night. This one they did. Mazzetti puts Atlanta out in front 14-0.
Atlanta's not playing for fun. They're playing for the season tonight, and they know it.
This is little Tom Pridemore, number 27, the bottom of the screen. He's a great special teams player. There he goes. He gets the block. Rick Bias picks it up. That is the kind of aggressive team that Atlanta knows it's got. And we'll be back in just a moment.
And those are the other games you'll be treated to this Saturday. Consult your directory to determine the game you'll see in your area. Beginning in the second quarter, a block punt, and Atlanta's a 14-0 lead. Rick Bias taking it in, 38 yards. And here's Tony Green from his own end zone for Seattle. And Green makes an opening on his own, moves out over the 30-yard line where it'll be 1st and 10, and Seattle will have to get something going here very quickly.
Green looks a little bit better than he looked with the Redskins when they dropped him and with the Giants. He's beginning to get a little flare back. At halftime, you'll meet Willie Mays, and you'll meet, there's George Steinbrenner and Billy Martin. You will meet also Bowie Kuhn at length. And, of course, 2 overriding stories. The disassociation from baseball of Mays and the dismissal of Billy Martin as manager of the Yankees. Kuhn has some revealing things to say about the Martin situation. Halftime today.
1st and 10, Seattle. And off, Dornick. And Dornick goes for about 3. It'll be 2nd down and 7.
Key thing here, Frank, I think, for Seattle to keep in mind, this game has got 3 quarters to go. They're 14 down. That's really not a lot in professional football. They got an explosive offense. Don't try to get it all back in one play.
You're exactly right. That play was officially ruled a fumble, by the way, not a block kick, since Thunderfoot's foot never hit the football and has just started to pour.
I would call it thoroughly blocked. 2nd and 7. At the 34-yard line. Zorn again with the blitz. This time they pick it up. Screen, and it goes out to the tight end, Brian Peterson. He's snowed under.
And the man that got him was number 79, Jeff Yates. Discarded by the Buffalo Bills a few years ago, Howard. He replaced Claude Humphrey, a local favorite here and a great defensive end. And he's a plugger. He'll scratch and do whatever he has to do to get into the play. He rushed the passer and then went back and made the play on the receiver.
Very tough last year. Surprised a lot of people. Look at the umbrellas suddenly crowding up.
Trickling down.
Trickling. With Gifford.
Well, in Atlanta, they call it a trickle. 3rd down, 7. Reached just to the line of scrimmage before Yates captured him there. Zorn looking for Largent. Largent wasn't open. Zorn gets the first down on his own.
Now, that's the way Zorn could kill you. And some of you fans around the country saw a young quarterback yesterday who showed ability, strength, mobility, young Phil Simms of the Giants.
Here's the veteran Greg Brazina, who's been under fire just a little bit here in Atlanta, particularly from his head coach, Lehman Beaton. He tried to call timeout, as you saw. And then Zorn took off, unable to find the receiver. Brazina had to make the stop. But it's first down, Seattle. A ball at the 45-yard line. Play action again by Zorn. Going deep for Largent. He's there, but slightly overthrown.
He had the step, no question about it. Frank, you just saw Brazina make a play. It's the point I want to make. I think Lehman Bennett, the Atlanta coach, was bum-wrapped this week in the Atlanta papers. He was being asked about his team, and he said they're, generally speaking, not playing as well as they did a year ago. And then he was asked about names, and he said about Brazina, Greg is not playing as well as he did a year ago. He didn't say he wasn't trying. He didn't say he was playing poorly. There's Greg now. And out it came. Bennett wraps Brazina. Am I telling it like it was?
You are, Howard, and it was an unfair headline. Greg Brazina is the emotional leader of this defensive football team. He's really fired up. He's been a class player his entire career and still a great football player at outside linebacker position, as you'll see tonight.
I think he understood it. And in any event, the Atlanta Falcons are a different football team tonight. Zorn on the rollout, second down and 10. And he completes the ball down to Largent. He has a first down. They are inside Atlanta territory.
What a great ability. Nobody can throw on the run in the game of football as good as Jim Zorn. You people have not had a chance to see much of Jim Zorn over the years, but here he is again. He is truly an exciting player in the National Football League. You see his speed gets him outside the rush. He's still running. He will throw on the run. That's a difficult thing to do. He hits Largent right on the numbers. Largent knows where to get out of bounds. Wonderful, wonderful play.
Speaking of throwing on the run.
Yeah, looks like talking.
The first and 10, the ball at the 39-yard line. Rain continuing to fall. And off to Sherman Smith. Piled up, bottom of that pile. Fulton Eichendahl. Gain of maybe a yard.
There is Lehman Bennett. And the key thing is, and Fran brought it up, as you see the rain torrentially now pouring down, key thing is Seattle keeps their poise. They're not trying to get it all back on one play. Although there was a time when Largent had a step and the ball, if properly thrown, could have led to a Seattle touchdown. Seattle playing for conference pride. The AFC ahead of the NFC 20-9.
Second down 9. This is Dornick. Nothing to the outside. Turns it inside. Runs into Pittywell. Line of scrimmage, and that's about it. It'll be third and long now for Zorn.
How about that?
Yeah, they set a lot of expansion records in the first 3 years up at Seattle.
You know, it's a lot of pressure here on Jim Zorn, Frank. He's trying to get his running game going. He's not getting much out of his running game. They have to rely strictly on his passing. He's capable of doing it, though. He can carry that load. He's a very poised young man. He's going to have to throw in this situation.
Third and 8. Ball at the 37. Zorn with the long count. Zorn goes to Dornick. He's short of the first down.
That play I can see. You've got to throw into first down territory.
Well, I'll tell you what Atlanta's defense did there, Howard. They started faking the safety blitz. Jim Zorn changed his play at the line of scrimmage, thinking they were going to come with the safety. They did not come with the safety. Therefore, he didn't get the yardage that he needed.
They have a fourth down, and they do not send in either kicking unit. The ball at the 34-yard line.
I like it, Jack Patera.
Yes, I do.
Sir, I like this. This is a good call.
Way to play the game.
Down 14-0. Fourth down and 6. Ball at the 34. 3 wide receivers.
They're coming with everything. They're coming with everything.
Zorn will get the first on his own.
He may get a touchdown. He may get a touchdown. He's going to get it.
How about that?
Jim Zorn, touchdown on the scramble. 34 yards.
Right back in the ball game, and that's the kid Francis has been talking about so much.
And that's the price you play with the blitz.
This is really something. I always thought the blitz was best against a scrambling quarterback, but here he splits the blitz. Nobody in the secondary. This young man can run. He is truly an exciting football player. He can beat you running or throwing the football or thinking. There he is, number 10, Jim Zorn. You're going to see a lot of him in the years to come. What a play.
Pridemore, frustrated, took Zorn in the end zone. Far too late. Seattle's on the scoreboard. Quarter Herrera puts it through. So Seattle has drawn within a touchdown. Let's look at it again. A full blitz is on, and when you make a mistake when you're blitzing, either running or passing, it can be a long gainer. For this, a 34-yard touchdown for Zorn. We'll be back in just a moment.
Jack Patera, the head coach of Seattle. That man deserves a lot of credit for that touchdown. There is a time to gamble, a time not to gamble. 34 yards out, 4th down. Go for the first down. Even if you don't make it, you're down in their territory. Perkins gambled yesterday with the Giants needlessly, perhaps foolishly, with a 13-0 lead. He destroyed the momentum of his ball club. Patera did it at the right time.
Quarter Herrera pops it. Dennis Pearson at his 3-yard line for Atlanta. Up into there, short of the 20-yard line. Now, Seattle seems to be fired up, and there's the young man who pulled it all together. And I think really the time to gamble is when it works. And when you have a quarterback like Jim Zorn who gives you the option, either run or pass, as he did there, gifted athlete, rolled it in.
There's a point there, Frank, because the key to that drive was an earlier 3rd down play when Zorn himself carried the ball and made the first down. And then, as Fran said, he split the blitz and rolled on in.
Now the pressure comes back to the Atlanta offense. Let's see if they can keep it going.
Andrews is the single setback. Back with the 2 tight ends. 87, Russ McKeska in there. Bartkowski to the air. And Bartkowski down close to the line of scrimmage. Robert Hardy came in on the pass rush and then picked up Bartkowski on pursuit. It'll be 2nd down and 9.
And not to knock Steve Bartkowski, he's a fine quarterback, but there you saw the difference. He does not have the foot speed that Jim Zorn has to get out of trouble, to make a big play for his team running the football. That's a great bonus when a quarterback can give you that.
Outside of you, and he certainly didn't run a lot so far this year.
On 2nd and 9, draw play. Andrews hustles out to the 25-yard line. Sammy Green there, one of several Seattle Seahawks in on the stop.
Andrews a tough kid, Giff. Outside of Utah, who could run like Zorn?
It's a guy in New England by the name of Grogan who's not a bad runner.
That's right.
They're going to bring this back.
But they got to take another look at him. He's up and down. He's erratic.
Penalty being marched off against Atlanta.
Offensive holding, number 70. 2nd down.
Dave Scott, the left guard, holding for Atlanta.
Well, Howard, I'll tell you one thing. Atlanta better not get conservative because they're going to have to score a lot of points to beat this Seattle team. And they're going to have to keep wide-open football going.
There's your man.
There's the Moose wearing 71, a great defensive end, starting now for Seattle the last few weeks.
2nd down 20. Bartkowski from his own goal line. Firing intended there for Jenkins, and that could have been picked off. And Bartkowski took a lump.
He really did. And they did not go conservative coming up with the pass play. Give them credit for that.
That was a good call. They did come with the pass play.
But the whole tenor, as you look at Bartkowski getting hit by number 75, Hardy. Bang.
That takes its toll during the course of a game, during the course of the season. That kind of hit hurts.
How do you know?
2 rookies in the middle of that line. Manu Tuasosopo, a rookie from UCLA. Robert Hardy, the rookie from Jackson State. 3rd down 20. Bartkowski will put it in the air again. As the time in this one almost picked off. Keith Simpson went for it, incomplete, 4th down. Atlanta will have to punt.
Frank, that was a key play by Keith Simpson there. #1 draft choice a year ago. Just inserted to the starting lineup a couple of weeks ago. He's really played well for him with a strong safety position. He had good coverage then, almost the interception.
There's James. He'll drop back into his end zone. Here's Tony Green. Had a tremendous year last year with Washington. Wheels came off somewhere in training camp. Released. Giants released him. Now he's looking a little perkier than he has. James. Hits it low. Green will have his opportunity. And Green is down, and Seattle has good field position.
Well, as you noted, Jim Zorn earlier got his touchdown scrambling, and Fran had a chance to talk to him about that before the game.
Jim, don't you know that you can't win with a scrambler?
I've never heard that. You're the first guy, and you ought to know better than anybody else. You can win with a scrambler. Let's go, Fran. Come on.
But not a left-handed one.
Now, that's the best kind. See, you've always scrambled around back and forth, back and forth. I scramble more upfield, and with the left arm, it's even added.
I like it.
He's got a little pizzazz.
He does. That kid's got some charisma.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 38-yard line. Seattle down by 7. Zorn. Hands off to Sherman Smith. There to the outside, and the big man rolls inside the 30-yard line. Short of a 1st down, but nifty pickup.
Well, you have to respect, again, the coach of the Seahawks, Jack Patera. This team reflects his coach. Down 14 points against a fired-up team, a hostile crowd as you look at Burley Jack. And they held their poise, held together. Now it's 14-7, and they're coming back, and the whole flow of the game has changed, with the momentum clearly lodged with the Hawks.
And they quieted down this crowd.
He's got himself a sense of humor, too, Jack Patera. Having a little trouble out there. Chatted with some of the press. He said, I was trying to be funny, and I guess I'm not funny. 2nd down, a long 2. Ball at the 29-yard line. Sherman Smith. Smith has the 1st down. Stopped there by Brazina.
Notice how they're more open for the run now.
You know, that's really going to be dangerous if they get the run going like it looks like they're getting it going there. Earlier they didn't.
It hurt earlier. He was not coming back into the game, Brazina, but he's tough. He's been around 11 years, and if those veterans have been around, they can play with a little bit of an ache and pain. 1st and 10. The ball at the 24-yard line. Dornick, the single setback for Seattle. Sherman Smith in a wingback slot. Dornick gets the call. Gets the couple. That'll be 2nd down and 8. And on the stop, Robert Pennywell, the middle linebacker.
There's Pennywell.
Became a starter last year. Actually, had done some work on the outside for Atlanta.
He replaced Ralph Ortega in the middle a year ago. Ortega now with the Miami Dolphins. They're going 3 wide outs. Atlanta would like to blitz this formation. Let's see if they do.
Rabel, the other wide receiver, number 83, with Largent, 80, and Sam McCullough, 84. Going for Rabel, and a flag is down.
That is a defensive interference penalty. Now let's tell you, Jim Zorn threw that ball way before he broke. He knows Largent. They work well together. Really a wonderful pattern that Largent ran. Great throw.
It'll be a
sorry
first
about
down
Largent, but
inside the 5-yard line.
Defensive pass interference, number 22. 1st down.
Roland Lawrence, the guilty defender for Atlanta. Look at it again.
Well, he works good with Sam McCullum there, but Rabel's on the top of your screen, 83, and he works good with Steve Rabel, too, Howard.
It's tough. 1st and goal, 6:30 remaining in the half. Atlanta out in front, 14-7, Seattle threatening. Ball at the 3-yard line. Largent adjusts to the wingback spot on the right side. Sherman Smith gets the call. Tries to move outside. Nothing doing there. That should be Kuykendall, I believe.
That situation, Fran, I've always liked the 1st down call of a pass.
Well, It is a good call, but Seattle's got the momentum going now. I really cannot fault the run called in, but if you're going to throw down the goal line, first down is the time to do it. Now, really, they're looking for a pass.
He has that extra something, though. He can come with a little rollout, give himself a run-pass option. What you have when you have an athlete for a quarterback. Second and goal. Sherman Smith. Piled up. Line of scrimmage. It'll be third and goal. Now he must pass.
Now they put a lot of pressure on themselves. They really do. You're right, Frank. They must pass in this situation. You're also right. Jim Zorn gives them an extra dimension there. Having a quarterback can throw on the run like he can and also run the football is an added advantage.
Evidence of that, Seattle's gained 146 yards. Zorn's accounted for 105 of them. 59 by the pass, 46 by the rush. But now on the spot.
Atlanta taking pass also. They bring in a fourth linebacker, Dewey McClain. Play action, unnecessarily so.
He's got it.
He's got it. It's Sherman Smith. Jim Zorn with an unnecessary play action because the entire Atlanta defense was thinking pass. Still comes up with Sherman Smith touchdown.
And the play action didn't hold the pass rush at all, as you'll see. He gets pretty good pressure. But Sherman Smith is some athlete come out of the back, but he almost drops this ball. He bobbles it, but he gets it in time, I think.
He did.
He did.
He had to have control. He knew that. He gets the touchdown. And now a friend Herrera can tie it up.
So what a comeback by the Seahawks.
Herrera pounds it through the uprights, and we have a tie football game at 14. 5:01 remaining in the first half. We'll be returning to Atlanta in just a moment. Jim Zorn and the Seattle Seahawks, a young ball club with a lot of poise. They were down 14-0. They have tied it up at 14. Most of it has been on the efforts of Jim Zorn. Set to kick off for Fred Herrera. Dennis Pearson is deep for Atlanta. Both teams 3 and 5. Atlanta very much alive in the Western Division of the NFC. A win tonight for them, and they would move to within one game. Kick Seattle. They get it.
They've got it, Frank.
They should have it. Had a wide open. It should have been handled. It was ultimately. There was no Falcon lineman in the area. Fred Herrera hit it beautifully for Seattle. And now this team we saw a moment ago go on 4th and 7. Zorn scored from 34 yards out. Now they come with an onside kick. Let's look again.
Are you learning anything, folks?
This is great football. Give Jack Patera all the credit.
All the credit
he calls
in the world.
They surprised everybody in the stadium, including the three of us in this booth. Atlanta had nobody over there to get the ball. As you see, Seattle had 2 or 3 people going after it. And finally, Keith Simpson, I think, 42, recovered it.
And field position for the Seattle Seahawks.
Jack's rather proud of himself.
Ahead of the NFC, 20-9 in interconference competition. I have to believe the AFC plays more enterprising football, among others.
First and 10 at the 43-yard line. Blitz. Zorn unloads it in the direction of Largent. Saves the loss. It'll be 2nd and 10. Jim Zorn. Dallas had him in 75. They released him just before the season started. Went out, flirted around with Los Angeles during the 75 season, then was signed as a free agent by Seattle, and he has had a remarkable rise in his career ever since.
And that blitzer, Frank, was number 28, Frank Reed, a defensive safety man. Atlanta's going to have to go all out with their safety blitzers to have any chance of stopping this offensive machine of Seattle.
First time before they blitzed on a 4th and 7. Zorn ran it in from 34 yards out, so you can be hurt. They show blitz once again on 2nd and 10.
They're coming with everybody.
Zorn, Largent. Gain of about 4. Defensively there, Rick Bias, number 38.
I'll tell you, Dallas was very honest about the release of Zorn. The brilliant triumvirate, Schramm, Brandt, Landry, not necessarily in that order. Look at that total offense. The graphic, Seattle has the last 122 yards of that total. Atlanta was hot early on. Seattle, as Frank told you, kept its poise, came back. Point I was making, Dallas did not want to let Zorn go. They had no choice. They freely admit it.
They kept back that's been sensational for them for the last 4 years, Preston Pearson.
They're going to come after him again.
3rd down 6. Atlanta showing the blitz. This time they pull out of it. Zorn was affected by it, though.
Yeah, that was good. That was good defense. They faked the blitz. They got him into an audible situation, came back out of it. That's the style of defense Atlanta has got to play to have any chance at all against this football team.
You're exactly right, and you saw for the first time that Zorn was a troubled quarterback.
That's
uncertain and made a bad throw that could have been picked off.
Exactly right.
On 4th down, Efren Herrera has come into the game. Keep in mind, Zorn is the holder. Efren Herrera's longest field goal in his career is 52 yards. This one would be about 54 yards. It would be 55 yards, as a matter of fact. Seconds ticking away on the 30-second clock. They'll have time to get it off. Keep in mind, Zorn, the quarterback, is the holder.
That's the patient. Wide open.
Efren Herrera has a first down inside the 20, and Seattle's doing everything.
I love it.
I want to tell you, folks, this is the kind of play pro football needs. Not parity, but enterprise, inventiveness.
Watch number 1, Efren Herrera go right up the middle. Nobody is covering him that far. Zorn puts it right in there. No problem. Efren Herrera said, I can be a receiver, too. All right.
Shows you what surprise can do. Instead of the stereotype, the same defenses, the same offenses, the same playbooks, only the numerology different. Jack Patera is giving the nation a lesson in creative football.
All right. 1st and 10 at the 17-yard line. Largen in motion. Sherman Smith. Nifty bit of running by Smith. What do you want? Efren Herrera to go to wide receiver, Howard?
I don't care what they do with them. I like what's different. The minute a team in this league does something different, the other team is totally messed up.
You got to give Jack Patera a lot of credit. He's made some bold calls tonight, and they've worked for him, which makes him a genius.
No, he's been watching college football.
There was a gain of 5 by Smith. 5 well-earned yards. 2nd down 5. Ball on the 11-yard line. Handoff, Dornick. And the big man moves for a couple of yards as we head towards the 2-minute warning. That's the story. It's been exciting football. It was all Atlanta to begin with. They blocked the Herman Weaver punt, took it in for a score. They drove the length of the field, and Seattle kept their poise, came back. They have shown some exciting play. There's the 2-minute warning. We'll be back in just a moment. You have the sense that football is a lot of fun up in Seattle. They have a fun coach. He's a tough man. He's been through expansion himself. He wound up his own football career with the Dallas Cowboys. He knows what it's all about. He'll have a good joke with you. You wouldn't want to mess around with him too much. You might get a little angry. Right now, 3rd down and 2. The ball inside the 10-yard line. Seattle pulling all stops out tonight. Whoa, Dornick just bowling into the end zone. Dan Dornick, touchdown Seattle. They take the lead the first time tonight.
And the Boo Birds go to work on the Falcons, but they shouldn't. They really shouldn't. This Seattle team deserves credit. Not the Falcons' blame, because the Falcons started off a fired-up, almost frenzied football team. Look at it again and watch Dornick.
And right ahead of it was Sherman Smith leading the way. That's what you like to see. 2 big backs complimenting each other. Smith with the block. Dornick the touchdown. Here's Efren Herrera, the receiver. And the little wide receiver drills it through, and Seattle has the lead 21-14. Dornick gets the 3rd touchdown for Seattle. We'll be back in a moment. Fishing and Outcome was brought to you by Autry Beeman and the National Football League as a public service. 1:54 remaining in the first half. Exciting football, fun football. Seattle now out in front, 21-14. Efren Herrera, who set the last touchdown up with a reception over the middle on a fake field goal, set to kick off. And it's dinked along the ground, taken there by Pridemore. And Pridemore upended, hustling down there defensively for Seattle was Jesse Green. He made the stop. And Atlanta is having their problems.
Why didn't he let it go out of bounds, Frank?
Well, I wasn't down there with him. I don't know whether it's a very wet field. That ball doesn't bounce as much as it ordinarily would. We saw it earlier on a punt that died inside the 5. Conditions change.
How about that second quarter graphic? All Seattle. What a comeback.
This is the 5th play Atlanta's run during the second quarter.
They have the ball at their own 16-yard line. Bartkowski. And under pressure, he had to dump it off.
Under pressure by number 71, Frank Carl Eller, and he got his big old paw in front of Bartkowski's face, and he couldn't see his receiver.
There he is. He's been around 16 years, most of them with you, Fran. He's something special.
Watch him get his hands up. He's 6'6". He gets his arms up. He knows what to do when he gets back there, and he can still rush the passer. There he is. Great player, Carl Eller. And a real leader on this football team now.
Traded right before the start of the season. Came from Minnesota in exchange for offensive tackle Steve Niehaus.
Who they cut?
Second down 10. Motion man, Wallace Francis. Bartkowski again. Again, under pressure. Short hop there, incomplete. Flag went down. Bill Gregory, that time, was in there defensively, a former Dallas Cowboy, performing defensively for the Seahawks.
Use the old cliche. Gregory is a play. Lehman Bennett, not happy with the ebb and flow of this game. Elated early on. What a change.
The illegal motion on the offense, number unreported, refused.
So that brings up third down. Seattle declining the penalty. They like to get it back. They have 2 timeouts. Third down 10.
Does it look to
16.
Does it look to you, Frank, like they're out of rhythm, out of sync out there on offense now, the Falcons?
Well, we saw it earlier when the early going, it was Seattle that appeared that way. They put it back together. Let's see what Atlanta can do. Again, Carl Eller. Bartkowski gets away. A flag is down. The ball intercepted away.
They intercepted Eller.
But a flag is downfield. We don't know whether it's against Atlanta or Seattle. I think it was Carl Eller who batted it and then caught it.
He certainly did.
What is the penalty?
Holding. Defensive holding.
Automatic first down. What a break for Atlanta.
I think it might have been Bill Cook who got his hand on it. Eller came up with it. In any event, it doesn't matter. That'll be an automatic first for the Falcons.
But let's listen to the official's call.
Defensive holding, number 38. First down.
Cornell Webster, the cornerback, holding for Seattle.
Eller's giving O'Brien all he wants at that right tackle spot.
And off Len Kane. And Kane gets a first down for Atlanta. Nifty bit of running. And Atlanta has called timeout, and we're going to go with Howard. He's with a very special guest on this night.
Ladies and gentlemen, meet the new manager of the New York Yankees, Mr. Dick Howser. A, congratulations. B, is it or is it not true that 3 summers ago you were offered in Gabe Paul's apartment the job as the Yankee manager to succeed Billy Martin in the wake of the Jackson-Martin incident at Fenway Park?
Howard, that's not true. I want to discuss some things with Gabe. As you know quite well, you live in the same apartment complex, and we discussed personnel and we discussed Billy, but I tried to talk Gabe into keeping Billy. We didn't talk about me being hired. We tried to talk about keeping Billy, and I said if we keep Billy, we get healthy, we can win the pennant, and we did that year.
Your loyalty to Martin has always remained firm, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. He's a good friend of mine. He's a great manager.
What are your problems as you foresee them with the Yankees?
1 or 2 players that we need in certain areas, probably center field, maybe behind the plate.
We've only just begun with this fine gentleman, and we'll get back to him right after this play. Yep.
Atlanta, 124. They have the football, 1st and 10. The ball at the 34-yard line. They're down by 7 points. Bartkowski. Strong arms it. Going for Jenkins. And it's picked off. Picked off by Dave Brown, who is back there in double coverage by Seattle.
He had help back there from Archery Beeman, who they just moved to free safety a couple of weeks ago, and Archery Beeman put it up. That's Alfred Jenkins, and he can run. He's one of the faster men in football, but you'll see Archery Beeman coming to the play here from the right of your screen. He will get up and tip the ball up, and Dave Brown will make the interception. There's Beeman going up off his shoulder pads. Dave Brown makes a nice reaction. Intercepts the ball. Now, will Seattle sit on it, or will they go after it? The way they've been playing, I think they might go after it.
The ball at the 12-yard line. There's a look at Dave Brown. Started every game Seattle has ever played.
He's a maligned ball player. It was the #1 draft choice out of Michigan by the Pittsburgh Steelers. John McKay had him with the All-Stars. Didn't think he could make it. Well, he's made it with Seattle.
1:15, and Seattle has 2 timeouts. Handoff is Dan Dorning. Gain of 2. It'll be 2nd down and 8. Let's go quickly back to Howard.
Okay, we're back with Dick Hausen. Now, Dick, you said you need 1 or 2 players. Who and where?
Well, possibly in center field, possibly behind the plate. I don't know those people right now, but there's some people available, and we've discussed personnel already, and I think George Steinbrenner is committed to bringing in some players in New York and help the ball club.
Controversy has always been the yardstick of the Yankees in the Steinbrenner regime, particularly involving Reggie Jackson. You stood firm behind Billy in the Reggie Jackson interludes. How do you feel about Jackson now?
Well, I've thrown a lot of batting practice to Reggie. I hope he appreciates that. We get along very well, really, and he had a fine offensive year last year, and I hope he continues into 80 and has another good season, because he had a good deal.
Talk to you later. Thank you very much, Dick. Dick Hauser, the new manager of the Yankees, back to Giff and the play-by-play.
And as Dornick picks up a couple of yards, 3rd down and 7. Dick Hauser, nice young man. He'll age considerably.
I don't think
Dick.
so. I've known Dick since 1961 when at Kansas City made the all-rookie team. This is a peppery guy and a fighter, and he's not going to age.
Atlanta calls timeout on this occasion.
Don't forget about our halftime gift. Willie Mays, Bowie Kuhn. Bowie with some interesting comments about the Billy Martin situation.
And 2 dancing bears to seal with the ball. Don't want to miss halftime at the Big Top. 3rd down and 7. Atlanta stopped the clock. They'd like to get the football back. They'd like a chance to rush the punter again for Seattle, Herman Weaver.
If we've seen Seattle make many gambles tonight, but as you and I talked about, they were good calculated risks. This is good to run the clock out here now, but anticipating them to run this ball again and then punt to Atlanta. And I think that's what they should be doing at this particular point of the game with a 21-14 lead.
3rd and 7, the ball at the 16-yard line. Zorn, hands off, Sherman Smith. Oh, Smith has got the 1st down. Out to the 24-yard line. The seconds ticking away now. Neither team inclined, I don't believe, to stop the clock at this point. Seattle deep in their own territory. Atlanta realizing Seattle has the 1st down. They'll let the 1st half expire. Interesting, exciting 1st half. We hope you've enjoyed it. Interesting halftime coming up. So stay with us. We'll be returning in just a moment.
Well, they finally built the Sony big enough for me.
Sony has risen to the challenge of the Mahoney family.
Grandma, what a big Sony you have!
Sony introduces the Big Sony, the 26-inch Trinitron console, the biggest television screen in America. But the big news isn't that it's so big. The big news is that it's a Sony.
Kind of reminds me of my Sony.
Sony, the one and only.
I like competing against men. But only if they don't patronize me. Then if I win, it's really exciting. You know what else I find exciting? Men who wear English leather cologne. I like the way it smells on men, and I like the kind of men who wear it. I find them to be challenging. When it comes to the battle of the sexes, I don't like pushovers. I guess that's why all my men wear English leather. Or they wear nothing at all.
Next August, I'll be an air traffic controller. Guaranteed.
10 months from now, I'll be training in electronics. Guaranteed.
Even if you're still in school, you can join the Army now and take up to 12 months to report for duty. With your choice of training, guaranteed in writing.
Next September, I'll be in Europe. Guaranteed.
This is the Army, and we're giving guarantees. Call this toll-free number now.
Josie on Happy Days, an actor, puts the squeeze on Marion.
Well, la-di-da.
And guess who comes knocking at the door?
It ain't opportunity.
Then on Angie, a burglar breaks in. But it's more than money he's after. Tomorrow.
For Dynamite Disco, turn on, tune in, and get down.
I'm John Witt, President, Board of Education. I've successfully opposed forced busing in your schools. Vote for John Witt, Board of Education.
There's treasure for the finding, if you know how. Cliff Kirk shows you the prizes of a professional treasure hunter when his special series continues Tuesday on the news at 5.
I'm Marty Levine. The carrier Kitty Hawk is being sent towards South Korea. More of the people stranded overnight on San Clemente Island and the grounding of the fishing boat are returning to shore. And Del Mar may decide on a lawsuit over North City West. These stories at 11.
We're back live. The score here at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium is Seattle 21, Atlanta 14 at halftime. Our halftime features are being brought to you by Metropolitan. Metropolitan really stands by you with insurance. I'll complete in just a moment as I tell you how the scoring went. First, Lynn Kane on a 35-yard run. Mazzetti the kick, 7-0 Atlanta. Rick Byers, 30 yards on what was officially called a fumble return. Really, it looked like a block kick against Thunderfoot Weaver, 14-0 Atlanta. Then Jim Zorn, 34-yard run. Herrera's kick, 14-7. Sherman Smith, 4-yard pass from Zorn. Herrera kick, tie. And then Dan Dornink, 8-yard run, 21-14. So, Metropolitan really stands by you with insurance for your life, health, auto, home, and retirement.
Folks, there were two overriding stories in sports this weekend, thus we're forsaking the halftime highlights to cover them. First, the disassociation from baseball of one of its greatest, the Hall of Famer Willie Mays. Second, the dismissal of Billy Martin as Yankee manager and the employment of Dick Hauser as his successor. Willie Mays had a 10-year contract with the Mets, 2 years to go on it, part-time coach, scout, and PR man. And then he agreed to a 10-year contract with Bally's Park Place Hotel, a hotel to be opened by the end of November or shortly thereafter in Atlantic City, with a casino gambling venture included within that hotel. Mays would work for 10 years for them at $100,000 a year, $500 a month expenses, a 2-bedroom apartment, security apparently for a lifetime. Bowie Kuhn said that Mays could not have such a position and stay associated with baseball. It would be against baseball's best interests. At a press conference held today after he had met with the commissioner for 1 hour, Willie Mays spoke of that meeting with the commissioner and his adopted position.
What can I say now? Looks like I'm being farmed out to a worthwhile group. I had a meeting with the commissioner today. I think he said in the best interest of baseball that I should disengage myself with the Mets. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going with a wonderful group. I know that these people are very much behind me. I know they're going to be very good to my family. I hate to leave baseball, but I'm not, the way I understand it to the commissioner, I'm not leaving baseball totally. I will be playing in, I guess, in the old-timers games, whatever baseball have to offer as far as I'm concerned. But I am not going to challenge baseball by saying that baseball is wrong. I think it's very important that I take care of my family, and I think the people that are here with me are done just that. I think it's very important that my wife and I are happy, and all of the decision today was the commission, and I provide by that.
Earlier, I spoke to Bowie Kuhn. Bowie really can stir up a fuss. The Payson family owns the Mets. They've had interests in thoroughbred racing. John Galbraith owns the world champion Bucks. He also owns the Derby Dan Farm, thoroughbred racing. George Steinbrenner, principal owner of the Yankees. He also owns horses, stables them down at his farm in Ocala. Isn't it inconsistent, then, for you to allow those owners to retain
their ownership interest in thoroughbred racing, which is legalized gambling, and yet to determine that Willie Mays is acting against the best interests of baseball and taking a PR job with a legalized gambling operation.
Howard, there are both owners and players who have been involved in thoroughbred racing. When I came into baseball in 1969 as commissioner, what I was faced with was a situation where the prior commissioners, including Judge Landis to a limited extent and the other commissioners to a greater extent, had accepted ownership and players being involved in horse racing. I decided when I came in was that we should not go any farther with this kind of affiliation, that we ought to say there's got to be a line drawn somewhere. And in the first few months that I was commissioner, I found that a number of our owners in 2 clubs were involved in stock ownership, nothing sinister about it, in corporations that had casinos. And I said, fellas, I don't think this is a good thing for baseball. I think you ought to give it up. And they proceeded voluntarily, all of them, to give it up. So I hadn't been commissioner more than 5 months, I guess, before I made it clear. I thought you've got to draw the line someplace because our integrity is the key thing we've got, and I think we had to draw it.
But Bowie, Howard Mays, serving 10 days a month as a PR man, in effect, for a publicly held corporation, after all, which is subject to government regulation, the New Jersey State Gaming Commission, the SEC, and so on, how would he be affecting deleteriously the integrity of baseball?
I think the question is one of the image of the game. I think the more you get involved in gambling interests, the more problems you're going to face, the more suspicion you're going to create for the game. It seems to me that we have got to be very tough about this. Nothing could be tougher than to have the case come up in 1979 involving one of the greatest stars we've ever had and one of the guys that I have the greatest affection for in our game. I think if you ignore these things, if you don't draw tough lines and say, look, we just can't go over this line, we can't go this far, then you're going to have trouble. I think the public perception of baseball is going to suffer, and it's my job to protect that integrity and to protect that perception, and I intend to do it.
Well, you've just spoken of your affection for Mays. Roy Campanella once said, to play baseball, you've got to have a little boy in you. And if anybody has ever typified that in the history of the game, it's Willie Mays. Don't you tarnish him by this action?
Howard, I don't think so, and certainly I don't intend to. I'm making it very clear. I made it very clear to Willie that it was his choice. He could go with the casino operation if he wanted to, obviously. But if he did, he had to make an election between that and baseball. I'm also making it abundantly clear in talking to the media about this situation that Willie has in no way done anything wrong. I don't blame Willie for making the decision that he has made, the election that he has made. Willie is looking to his own long-term interest. These people are taking good care of Willie for a long period of time. He's made that decision, and I understand it. But I've got to stand where baseball ought to be, too.
Metropolitan really stands by you. 1, 2, 3. Glad I'm insured by Metropolitan, because Metropolitan will really stand by me.
Metropolitan really stood by me, so now I have the dream house I always dreamed of.
2 daughters, double wedding. Metropolitan really stood by me.
For insurance for life, home, car, health, and retirement.
Metropolitan really stands by you.
Turning for a moment to the Billy Martin case, is it true, sir, that you're still investigating that?
Yes, it is.
George Steinbrenner has fed information to me to the effect that he still feels deeply about Billy and indeed looks forward to creating some kind of business association for Billy. Would you do anything to block that?
No, I think George is very sincere in his concern about Billy Martin. Billy has got problems. There are financial problems. He's had some personal problems also in terms of his getting into fights and trouble when he's been drinking. George is sincerely dedicated, I believe, to trying to help Billy through this, to try to help him find financial opportunities outside of the game, where Billy might have a better climate to solve some of these difficulties.
Then what is it you're still investigating in the Martin case?
Well, I want to be sure that I have all of the facts. I think I'm pretty close to having them, but in addition to getting all the facts, I want to give the Yankees a chance, as I have, to see how they're going to handle this, to draw out a plan. George has not at this point come forward with any final plan about how he wants to handle it, but he has talked to me with some ideas along the lines you and I are just talking about now. I like the sound of that. How I will resolve my end of it remains to be seen, but what I want to do is put Billy in a situation where he will have a feeling that he had really better stay away from these kinds of problems in the future if he wants to have a future in the game.
Do you expect to bar Martin from baseball, yes or no?
I'm not going to answer that yes or no. I've got a variety of options open to me, Howard. I can suspend a man for varying periods of time. I can fine. I can put a man on probation. I can reprimand a man. All of these things are obviously things I have to consider, and I am considering.
Thank you very much for coming into our studio.
Nice to be with you, Howard.
Take care.
Metropolitan really stands by you. I'm running a small business and a large family by myself, and Metropolitan really stands by me.
If Joey goes to medical school someday, I'll be glad I'm insured by Metropolitan, because Metropolitan will really stand by me.
We planned early for retirement, and Metropolitan really stood by us.
For insurance for retirement, home, car, health, and life.
Metropolitan really stands by you.
Saturday, doubleheader action. First headlining regional games. An exciting Eastern contest as Syracuse battles highly ranked Pittsburgh. Undefeated and third-ranked Ohio State tackles Illinois. SMU goes against Texas A&M. The Cinderella team of 79, Wake Forest battles Clemson. And Yale takes on Cornell for Ivy honors. Then at 4 Eastern, Arizona State, fighting to keep its Rose Bowl hopes alive, battles Stanford. Central Michigan takes on Toledo. And Temple against Hawaii. Check local listings for all the excitement. Saturday on ABC.
We're live at halftime in Atlanta. It was all Atlanta initially in this game. Seattle came back, maintained their poise. They now have a 21-14 lead. The teams are taking the field, and ABC's NFL Monday Night Football is being brought to you by Datsun, who invites you to test drive the all-new 200 SX Sport Coupe. It'll drive you like you've never been driven at your Datsun dealer now. We'll be ready for the second half kickoff after a word from our local station. Stay with us. More excitement coming your way.
Tuesday on Three's Company, an overnight guest is messing up Jack's love life. Then it's double love at first sight for Bobby and Tony.
Dump the both of them.
On Taxi. And on Heart to Heart, a swinging couple gets involved in murder, and Jonathan and Jennifer are next on the list.
Tomorrow. I'm concerned about issues like inflation. That's why I'm supporting the GAN initiative, Proposition 4, to limit government spending. I'm Steve Whitman. Last year, I fought successfully to cut the city budget. This year, I'm running for the San Diego City Council. I'm proud that in the primary election, I received more votes than any other council candidate. But that didn't just happen. I worked hard, and I'll work hard for you on the City Council.
Steve Whitman for City Council.
We're going to demonstrate how the massive girder beam front suspension system on this loaded Chevy pickup helps smooth the ride. At about 10 miles per hour, our mannequin takes the jolts the wheels do, but the Rancher rides smooth like the pickup driver. Because steel control arms and coil springs attached to the massive girder beam allow front wheels to take the bumps independently. Smooth riding Chevy pickups, built to take it so you don't have to. Chevy trucks, built to stay tough.
The news at 11, number 1 in San Diego.